I masturbated when the pain got way, way, way too bad. I'm gonna need you to go get tested, okay? I'm gonna need your mom to drive you up to the Planned Parenthood, and I need you to take a general STD test. All right, guys. I didn't realize that Matt Walsh was a car theist. And you know what I mean. Like, the whole, like, I put my cell phone in the middle of the car, and I just started ranting at it, and that was the video. I had no idea that was the type of content that he made at one point. But apparently, it is. So I guess we're going to have to get into that. But first, let's get into the fan art section. This one here is from Mathematical Cabbage, and it is a Homestuck class spec sprite of Raz and Suris. The next one we have is from Mr. Stoffles. I guess it's my turn to add to the coins, attempting a coin VTuber model, I guess. I will update when done. I sincerely hope this one never gets done. The next one and the last ones we have here are from Avenger. I modified my last Hero Forge Necosaurus a bit because they added clothing decals, and then I made a male Necosaurus as well. Thank you very much for your fan art submissions. If you want your fan art to be shown in a future video, the best way to do so would be drop it into the fan art section of the Discord. With that all said, let's go ahead and get right into everything. Here is Matt Walsh in an undisclosed parking lot, according to the serfs. Apparently he goes on a rant about, you know, particular activities of children, but let's take a listen.
Because what we're doing with kids, what we're
doing is looking at Makihimiko angrily because they decided that now was the time, now of all times, to make me say, for 50,001 channel points, oh well.
They're doing with kids in public school, they're not educating them with sex ed. This is about grooming. They're grooming them.
Okay, so I was unaware that sexual education, which states that happen to have higher rates of sexual education, actually have lower rates of things like teen pregnancy, STDs, etc. I wasn't aware that those things were grooming. I thought those things were just, you know, necessary for kids so that they didn't turn up kind of fucked up. Because, like, okay. Here's the thing. You can do the whole, well, actually, it's the parents' responsibility to talk to the children about the birds and the bees. Like, you can do that. You can do that. And I'm here to tell you why you're wrong. To put any of that responsibility on the parents specifically is to assume a couple of things. It's to assume, one, that the parents are actually there in order to do so. You're ignoring whatever potential life situations the kids have. And also, you're assuming that the parent is not some level of fucked up themselves. Better to have these things taught in a controlled environment where we can make sure that things do not end up screwed up for the children than not. Because, like, okay, here's what happens. Parent A and Parent B. Parent A says, let's talk about the birds and the bees. Do you know what pollinating is? Okay, you're going to do that, but, you know, with somebody who consents. There, that's conversation A. Conversation B from Parent B. Son, I need to understand something. I need to talk to you about roofling, okay? Now, your mom don't know I use it, but women are playthings, okay? And we need to talk about how to play with them. And you can kind of fill in the blanks from there. I'm sure there's at least one person who has had one screwed up parent that has given them some absolutely bonkers idea about consent, about sex. Like, imagine a Pastor Steven Anderson type of deal, where the dude literally says that sexual compatibility is just whether or not the dick can fit in the vagina. That's sexual compatibility. Ignoring the fact that these two people may literally have zero chemistry at all. None whatsoever. But okay, let's listen to Matt talk about how sex education is grooming again, apparently.
Much like a sex predator does with a child. They're grooming, conditioning the children. And so once they get into middle school and high school, then they're going to start working with Planned Parenthood. No problem there, right? I mean, that's not like that's a controversial thing to do. Planned Parenthood, they only kill 330,000 babies a year.
They also offer a wide range of medical interventions and medical checkups for people over and above just offering abortions. You know who else offers abortions? Random fucking hospitals. Like, actual just hospitals. Hospitals are responsible for deaths too, Matt. Are we just going to demonize everything that a hospital could do for you?
But yeah, bring them into the school. Why not? And so Planned Parenthood comes in, hands out condoms, and then the kids are taught about sex toys and masturbation, anal sex, oral sex, bondage. I mean, these are all the things that...
Are kids taught about bondage? I have never once heard that. I have never once heard them talked about bondage. Granted, when I had sexual education, I didn't, because I went to a Christian private school and they just didn't do that. They expected people to figure that out on their own. I literally had to be told by my first girlfriend that yes, even blowjobs should have a condom attached to them. But Matt, I don't think most sex ed classes talk about bondage. Pretty sure most sex ed classes, the reason they talk about masturbation is to point out that masturbation is a perfectly healthy thing to do. There's nothing wrong with it. Like, if you masturbate, what is the harm? What harm have you done to somebody? You've done no harm to anybody. You'd think that somebody like Matt would maybe not be such a pent-up, little aggressive bitch if he actually, rubbed one off once in a while. Past that, talking about sex, anal, and oral. Do you know why it's important to talk about those things too? Because when we talk about condoms, sometimes, a lot of times in sex education, from what I've seen and, my experience with the lack of it, they're taught that condoms are for preventing pregnancies, and we don't actually get a proper idea of various STDs, which means that when people go and do anal sex instead of, they don't use proper protection when they do that because, why would they need it? Proper protection isn't required in a situation where, the person isn't going to get pregnant. This can be true for straight relationships that, happen to engage in that level of sodomy. And this can be true for people who happen to be in queer relationships that do that type of thing as well. Doesn't matter who is there. The point is that STDs can still be transmitted back there. And an important factor in that is that STDs are transferred easier anally than they are through, say, the vagina. Because turns out the vagina has a lot of self-defense mechanisms, including a very destructive set of destructive pH balance that can destroy things as they come through. It's one of the defense mechanisms that stops every single sperm from fertilizing an egg. It's why the first time you have sex, it might not necessarily lead to pregnancy. Chances are high, but it's still there. Whereas if we're talking about anal, the blood barrier back there is much, much easier for liquids to permeate. So it is much easier for an STD to be contracted back there. Not to mention, if you don't know how to properly clean back there, then I don't know how to tell you what poop is and why you don't want it on your dick. I don't know how to explain that to you in any euphemistic way over and above what I've just done. So hopefully I never have to explain that to anybody. But please clean up there before you do things. But, it's also ignoring the fact that, like I said, oral as well is something that you should be using protection for as well if you don't know your partner's medical history or anything like that. Which, guess what? If you are like 14, 15, 16, guess what you don't know? Your partner's medical history. Because I guarantee you, not one of those teenagers was willing to sit down and go, okay, I really like you, Shannon, but I'm going to need you to go get tested, okay? I'm going to need your mom to drive you up to the Planned Parenthood, and I need you to take a general STD test so that I can make sure that when we do the coitus, it will be okay. No, that shit isn't happening. That shit's not happening at all. At all. So wear protection, because I know none of you fuckers are going to actually go and check on medical histories. There are some habits in the polyamorous community that should probably be adopted by more people. Just saying. Just saying.
The schools are presenting to children. Now, when I talk about this, sometimes people will accuse me of being opposed to sex ed in general. They say, well, it sounds like you don't want any kind of sex ed.
Yeah, it kind of does sound like that, Matt. Gee, I wonder why. Maybe you, as an audio presenter whose job it is to speak with your mouth hole, should be doing better about using proper rhetoric when speaking with your mouth hole. People misunderstand you more often when you're bad at communication.
Oh, have you picked up on that? Yeah, that's actually exactly how I feel. You're exactly right. There should be zero sex ed in the schools.
Oh, so you actually did do that. You actually did properly communicate the things that you wanted. Wow, congratulations. Can we get a round of applause for Matt Walsh? Can we get a yay sound effect for Matt Walsh? He was open and honest about the things he wanted. He wants higher rates of teen pregnancy. He wants higher rates of STDs. He wants higher rates of women not being able to go into the workforce, because those are the things that you get when you have worse sex education.
The idea that safe sex is better than abstinence. That's a doctrine. That's
not a doctrine. That's okay. So let's talk about the difference between safe sex and abstinence. Abstinence is what leads people to be pent up. Abstinence is what leads people to not understand their own bodies. Abstinence is the thing that people do when they either do not want to know any better or simply don't. Earth Magic, thank you for the hydrate. There's nothing wrong with abstaining from sex. There's nothing wrong with it. But you need to understand that abstinence is its own doctrine. It is its own doctrine. Key Dark Art says, Suris, do you need protection for self-cest? No, Stoff, I don't. I know my sexual history better than you do. So, I don't think I do. I don't think I do. Here's the thing, though. When you force abstinence, and we have seen this, we've seen this. This is an observable phenomenon. When everybody is desperately trying to abstain, you get a bunch of pent-up, horny, uneducated people, as opposed to people finding safe and engaging times to engage in sexual activities. You find people who will sneak it at every single turn. When you tell people simply do not do a thing that is perfectly natural and does not harm you, they're just going to go do the thing, but they're going to do it quietly. And now it gets harder to do things like, track people's... This is going to sound terribly horrible when I say this, but it's very hard to track the trail of bodies. And that trail of bodies might be important if you're trying to figure out, why an STD is running rampant on a campus. If everybody is hiding the fact that they're sleeping with people, it can make figuring that information out really, really difficult. Save abstinence for the professionals. Save it for the ace folks. Save it for the sex repulsed folks. Should just be called safer sex, but if you have birth control, if you have a condom, if you have proper protection, then you can engage in sexual activities with 1, 2, 3, 4, as many partners as you want, all at once if you so choose, without giving anybody STDs, without getting anybody pregnant, as long as you are openly communicating about your sexual histories, about tests that you have had, and about each other's consent and each other's protection. When we educate against doing that, statistically, we get higher rates of everything Matt would try to stop.
It's your personal view, not science. Doesn't belong in the schools.
Condoms are science, my guy. We use science to make condoms.
The idea that masturbation is healthy and natural.
It is, though. Masturbation is completely natural and healthy. It, like anything else, can become a vice, but it's still a perfectly natural thing to do. Like, literally, in what way is masturbation not natural?
That's a doctrine, not science. Doesn't belong in the schools.
Pretty sure masturbation being healthy is science. Pretty sure that's exactly what it is. Hold on a second. Pretty sure here. Let's see here. Masturbation can be good for your health both mentally and physically, and it's pretty much the safest sex out there. There's no risk of getting pregnant or an STD. When you orgasm, your body releases endorphins, which are hormones that block pain and make you feel good. Actually, yeah, no, come to think of it. You know what I did? You know what I did when my back tooth shattered before I could make it to the dentist to get it removed? You know what I did when that happened? I masturbated. When the pain got way, way, way too bad, that's exactly what I did. Literally, fuck the pain away. My bed is in ruin. Let's see here. Also, masturbation is healthy and has led to benefits such as less stress, better sleep, fewer headaches. Masturbation can relieve period cramps. What else are we seeing here? What else are we finding here? What else is here? Let's see. Ejaculation increases levels of the hormone cortisol. According to a specialist in hormone therapy, cortisol, which usually gets a bad rap as a havoc-wreaking stress hormone, actually helps regulate and maintain your immune system in small doses. Boost your mood because of the levels of endorphins and dopamine that it fires up. It can increase your lifespan, apparently. A Welsh study of 100 men over the course of 20 years, men who had 2 or more orgasms a week died at half the rate of men who had less than the number of orgasms per month. It can improve your skin, too. Oh, that's interesting. It causes increased blood flow to the skin, which can make your blood vessels open up. And for some people, this can result in slightly rosy cheeks, or what's better known as the post-sex glow. What's even better, the oxytocin that is released with orgasm can reduce inflammation, making zits and rashes less noticeable. Wow. Also, it improves your heart health, apparently. Regular orgasms actually help protect you against cardiovascular disease. A report from the Massachusetts aging study found that men who had sex once a month or masturbated just as often were 45% more let's see here. A report from the Massachusetts aging study found that men who had sex only once a month were 45% more likely to die of a cardiovascular disease than men who had 2 or more orgasms per week. So if you cancel plans with friends and stay home and masturbate, just tell them it's for your own health. You won't be lying. So you could say 1 porn a day keeps the doctor away? In some cases, yes. In some cases, yes. Exactly that. So I'm sorry, Matt, but what you're saying isn't science. We have studies that show that what you're saying is wrong. Masturbation being wrong is actually doctrine. That is literally just Christian doctrine. The whole, masturbation is a sin, that's what that is.
These things are doctrines.
Nope, that's yours.
That there's really no difference between what they would hear from their sex ed teacher in 9th grade and what they would hear from their 9th grade classmate. They might as well just hear it from the kids at that point.
So the kids aren't going to actually know as much about protection and masturbation and how to do things safely, which is why you get a professional to take care of that, Matt.
My point is, it's not like the schools have taken this subject and elevated it.
Yeah, they have, actually. Many kids actually get introduced for the first time to sexual education through their school.
And done something more mature and responsible with it than what the classmates would already do.
No, literally demonstrably false.
Now, the left won't admit that their views on sex are, religious in nature. But
have you ever heard of projection? Have you ever heard a person say something that was so obviously their position and they desperately needed to throw it on somebody else? Have you ever seen that? Because I just did.
They are. I fully admit that my views on sex are informed by my religious convictions, and I'd make no apology for that.
So you admit that you have the problem. So everybody else must necessarily have the same problem, but that's not the case, Matt. You yourself having that issue, you yourself being the type of person who would use your religion to inform health decisions, does not mean that everybody else does that. Because by and large, especially when it comes to proper scientific education, that's not what we do. But Matt thinks it is. Anyways, but this is where I gotta throw it back to you guys. What type of things did you hear in your sex ed class? Did you hear about bondage and all that other fun stuff? Or did you actually hear about, did they just put the condom on the banana? Did they just put the condom on the banana? Which one was it for you? Let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, everybody, please, please, please do not fall for dumb shit people like Matt say. And insert end of video tagline here.